What's good, y'all? Welcome back. Welcome back. And I'm pretty excited. Now, obviously, I'm rocking the do-rag today. I got a haircut today, so I'm just rocking the do-rag just for right now. I'll take it off later. But I do want to appreciate you guys for joining the watch on for this past weekend, man. At the Italian GP, you can say whatever. Fun race, very fun race. Shout out to Verstappen for getting the win, getting it done. Absolutely top tier performance from him. And boys and girls, Verstappen has a chance to win the Drivers' Championship. I still don't think he is going to win it, though. And maybe Oscar, the way that it's looking. But Verstappen still has a chance to do it. And we cannot ever count out Max Verstappen. Because he is Max Verstappen. Simple as that. But today, we are finna see the 7 best tracks that deserve to hold an F1 race again. We are in Monaco's upcoming week. One of the most famous, great races in Formula 1. Is it boring? Hell yes. Very boring at times, but the atmosphere, the vibe of it, you can't beat that. And should be, we are going to see how it goes. But anyway, hope you guys are doing good and amazing. Don't forget to like the video. Sub as well as always, boys and girls. Always appreciate the support. Outside that, let's start.
Formula One has been criticised in recent times for picking the F1 calendar by selling each race to the highest bidder. And that has been a theme of the new races on the calendar for a few years now. As a result, we've lost so many classic circuits from the calendar, and we're at risk of losing even more over the next few years. So I thought I'd share my top 7 circuits that don't have an F1 race.
It's a bit too low.
My name's Andy, and this is Behind the Drive.
Behind the Drive. Shout out to them.
Sepang, Malaysia.
Oh, okay. Malaysia.
First up is a fairly recent loss from the F1
I like
calendar.
the delivery of that.
The Sepang circuit in Malaysia offered some quality racing between 1999 and 2017. The circuit itself is perhaps Herman Tilke's best track design.
Hold on. We got rid of this? I'm liking the track. I'm liking the Malaysian track. Whoa. Why are we not back? I like the track.
It incorporates long straights with tight corners, which gives ample opportunity for overtaking in a modern era Formula One car. At this track, we've had some awesome moments in F1 history, including Raikkonen's first ever victory from 7th on the grid in 2003, the infamous Multi-21 call between the Red Bull drivers that resulted in Vettel disobeying team orders to overtake Mark Webber, and then of course the 2001 race, which was hit by a sudden downpour, which was always a threat when they went to this track. It was these changeable conditions, combined with the great overtaking opportunities, that means for me, this is one of the biggest losses from the F1 calendar. The Sepang circuit left the calendar after the 2017 season with dwindling attendance and a change in focus to go towards motorbike racing. I think it's clear that based on the popularity of Formula One right now, and the fact that most, if not all races so far this season have been sold out, I believe it will be worthy of a return to the calendar.
The track looks nice.
Bahrain International Circuit, Outer Loop. The next circuit is one that hosted a Grand Prix by chance in 2020. Given the pandemic, the F1 organisers wanted to ensure they could host as many races as possible, and as such, some circuits hosted 2 races during that year. The Bahrain International Circuit was one of these, but they went for a unique twist and hosted 2 races on 2 different layouts. The Grand Prix circuit layout remains on the calendar and is one of my favourite circuits that F1 attends, but it was the Outer Loop that offered a new challenge for the drivers that year. The track offered lap times of under a minute, and that made qualifying particularly interesting as the cars were so close together. It was also a fast circuit that kept most of the key overtaking opportunities from the Grand Prix circuit, whilst also offering something quite unique as it became known as the closest to an oval circuit Formula One has gone to in recent times. Perhaps I found the race particularly interesting because of the novelty, but it's something I would definitely be keen to see again, especially with those new regulations meaning the cars can race closer together. For me, it would make for a nice change, even if it's just every 5 years or so, to compete on the Outer Loop.
The view looks immaculate.
Looks immaculate. To truly be a world championship, in my view, all continents should be covered. This is hardly a new opinion to YouTube, as so many others have commented on it before. For me, I think Kyalami is the best option for Formula One to race in Africa. Kyalami is currently a Grade 2 circuit, but the organisers believe it would require minor changes to get it up to Grade 1 standard. This track is probably the closest.
Hold on, Grade 2 circuit? What the hell does that mean? It's not. I'm guessing Grade 2 is not good enough for F1 standards, so I guess it's missing a few things that make it Grade 1, I would assume, but what's the main difference from a Grade 1 to a Grade 2? That's interesting. Very, very interesting. Actually, you learn something new every day.
to reality on this list after the sport's current CEO, Stefano Domenicali, has claimed it's very important for the sport to return to Africa, and it seems like Kyalami is in pole position to take that spot, despite interest from other African circuits as well. The track itself would be a real challenge for drivers with little room for error, and there could be some decent overtaking opportunities with long straights followed by hard braking zones. But for me, this is less about the circuit and more about the need for Formula One to return to Africa and race on all continents so it can truly be a world championship. I want to take a moment to ask you to consider subscribing to Behind the Drive. According to my YouTube statistics, around 80% of the people watching my videos are not yet subscribed to my channel. I'm aiming for 50,000 subscribers by the summer break, so if you haven't already and are enjoying the videos, then please do consider subscribing. Thanks. Hockenheim, Germany.
Oh, yeah, I know about this.
Next up is Hockenheim in Germany. For me, this track, along with the Nürburgring Grand Prix circuit, are classics on the F1 calendar. Hockenheim is a great layout with a mixture of fast-speed corners and hard braking zones, which is brilliant for Formula One racing. It's a classic track with a long history and has also hosted some great races in recent times. The 2019 race was hosted in the wet conditions, with an awesome 20th on the grid to second at the finish drive for Sebastian Vettel and a great podium finish for Daniel Kvyat. Likewise, the 2018 race at Hockenheim was pivotal for the championship as Hamilton won from 14th and Vettel crashed out in the rain. And for many, they believe that this track is where Vettel's championship hopes were dashed.
Ooh.
The track lost its race due to financial issues, something that's a trending theme on this list. But I think it's a bit ridiculous that Germany doesn't have a race anymore, considering it's one of the most successful nations in terms of world championships. Personally, I'd be happy to see either the Nürburgring or Hockenheim return to the calendar. Buddha International Circuit, India. Next up is another Hermann Tilke track design, and it's the Buddha International Circuit in India. This track hosted 3 races between 2011 and 2013, and the track itself received plaudits from the drivers as they believed it was a good layout which gave ample overtaking opportunities, whilst also...
I will say though, I would assume... oh my gosh. I would assume and think the drivers would add more input in regards to like the tracks that they prefer, but like I'm not sure how much power they have, but like if they all came together and be like, hey, like, you know, like how can we get, you know, race back in Africa? What about the race in, you know, India, Hockenheim? Like, is there a way we can financially help out with that? Like, these are legendary F1 tracks. Great tracks in Formula 1 with good moments and all. Like, best believe, if we lost, like we see, like, almost every year, like, tracks get, like, what, extended till 2029, whatever, stuff like that. Like, we can't lose some of these greatness. We can't lose some of these tracks. Like, we need it. I need it. Because listen, I never seen him race in Buddha. I never seen him race in Hockenheim. You know, for a lot of younger F1 drivers like me, I said drivers. I'm not an F1 driver, not yet. Chad's F1 team is coming soon. But for like the fans, younger fans, you know, I'm 26, so I'm not really young, but in F1 I am. You know, it's good to see what made these tracks so popular, what made these tracks so great. We gotta find a way to bring it back. I'm leading the charge for that. Find a way to bring these tracks back.
Drivers.
Hashtag bring it back F1.
Commented that they'd done a great job with the circuit, adding that it was faster than he expected. Other drivers offered similar comparisons to Spa, which is one of the classics of Formula One. India was a new country for the sport, and there was an air of excitement around the inaugural event in 2011 in particular. The sport was growing in India at the time, and there was of course even a team owned by Vijay Mallya and called Force India, plus there was even an Indian driver who competed in that first race in Narayan Karthikeyan. The race left the calendar in interesting circumstances, with tax claims from a provincial government claiming the FIA owed taxes as they did not recognise F1 as a sport, but instead as entertainment. As such, the race was dropped for 2014, initially...
What? You sound foolish. Huh? It's not a sport, but it's entertainment. Let's just keep going.
literally for 1 year, but subsequently it was delayed further and eventually dropped from the calendar completely. The tax dispute was still ongoing in 2017 as Liberty Media put aside $14.8 million to cover the controversial bill. But to have this incident mean that the race has been left by the wayside is a real disappointment. And I think it would be good to return to India for Formula One, especially since the popularity of the sport has grown significantly. And I even see that on this YouTube channel, with 4.8% of the people watching my videos being from India. Istanbul Park, Turkey. Turkey next, and this is a track that's been on the calendar over the last couple of years as a result of the pandemic. Unlike Imola, Istanbul Park has failed to maintain its spot after 2 seasons back on the roster. Those 2 years were certainly interesting for the track, as it was a controversial circuit in 2020 based on the fact that it had been resurfaced in the weeks before the race, meaning it was unusually slippery even in the dry conditions. That weekend, they were even driving road cars around the track between sessions in efforts to get more rubber down. When it came to the competitive sessions that year though, it was an absolute washout, and it was Lance Stroll that took a shock pole position for Racing Point, followed by an unpredictable racing conditions that had drivers trying all sorts of different compounds and even wearing down the intermediates to slicks. In the end, it was Lewis Hamilton that took the victory and claimed his 7th World Championship with it, so it was an eventful weekend for Turkey. What was particularly interesting back in 2020 was how excited the drivers were for the super fast Turn 8 complex, with drivers expecting it to be flat out given the amount of downforce that the cars had that season. And in 2021, the track was a stand-in for the Canadian Grand Prix, which was cancelled because of entry restrictions into the country. It was a critical race for the championship once again, as Lewis Hamilton took an engine penalty and was forced to fight his way back up the order to get himself into a competitive position. Once again, there were changeable conditions over the weekend, showing that this track can offer some interesting and challenging races for the drivers. And on this occasion, it was Valtteri Bottas who took the victory from Max Verstappen. For me, Turkey definitely deserves a spot on the F1 calendar, as it's a great track. Over the 2 races over the last couple of years, I think it's proven how valuable it could be if it had a permanent spot on the calendar. Fuji Speedway, Japan.
Fuji Speedway, Japan.
And finally, the 7th track on this list that I think deserves a return to the F1 calendar is the Fuji Speedway in Japan.
Flag in top right?
Of course, we all can't wait for a return to Suzuka later this season after 2 years away. But back in the late 2000s, Fuji hosted the Japanese Grand Prix, and it was a good addition to the calendar, although not without its faults. For starters, the location is incredible and the track is at the foot of Mount Fuji, which is an incredible setting for a racetrack. As a result of that, it has changeable and unpredictable weather. So similar to Istanbul Park, the weather conditions can change with very little warning. Personally, I think that having races with changeable conditions can really improve the racing. Even without rain-affected races, the track would have one of the longest straights on the calendar, with it being almost 1.5 kilometers in length. Back in 2007 and 2008, when the track last hosted a race, there were certainly issues, with transport problems and even rules regarding the flags that could be bought in by fans unless they were supporting the circuit's owners, Toyota. These improved into
So I just want to make sure I get this right. So I can't bring in a Ferrari flag or a McLaren flag or a Williams flag or Mercedes or Aston Martin flag. Am I correct? Am I right, chat? Am I right? I just making sure.
2008, as the organisers reduced the capacity and improved the experience for the spectators. And for me, I think it's deserving of a return to the calendar, as it would be great to watch the cars race here again. Now, these tracks are in no particular order, and of course, all 7 of these circuits couldn't realistically be added to the calendar, but I believe the best way to get these circuits involved in F1 long term is to set up some kind of rotation system. This is the best solution in my opinion.
I feel like every other year we can do like something like that. That's how I feel like every other year a track that hasn't raced that year gets raced the next year. Like every following year. I feel like that. I feel like that. Like if India can do it, if Turkey can do it, why not have it every other year? That's just me. Outside that, you guys take care. You guys let me know in the comments down below what you guys think about that. See you guys soon. Peace.